Hey, everybody. I am live. All right. Excellent. Let me see if I can share my screen and let's see if we can make this happen. I believe I shared my screen. Excellent. Looks like my screen is shared. And yeah, I am live. Let's see if we can get another win out today. I didn't really have a plan to live stream. I just got inspired. Um, but that's kind of how these things really roll sometimes. Let's see if the Mets can do it again, man. Um, we have we had a great game last night. We hit a bunch of home runs. My hope is that we're going to be able to kind of keep that going, get that momentum going, because we really need to make a really strong push um, out of these last few games that we have left. Yesterday was just an exciting game from the offensive standpoint. From a pitching standpoint, was also a really very exciting game because we actually got a some good pitching, some good starting pitching from one Clay Holmes who started the game. Right, we piggybacked Clay Holmes with Sean Manaea, and that worked really well. Even though we had a couple home runs hit against us, uh, we really kept it. Like all those home runs were solo home runs, and in our offense, hit home runs. We got timely hits. That hit by McNuggets was really huge. So now I'm hoping that the Mets are starting to hit on all cylinders, and we can make a final push to kind of solidify our playoff situation. So yeah, for the most part, I'm hoping that we get more of the same. Obviously, sometimes with the Mets, you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like Forrest Gump, but I think that yesterday might have been a turning point for us. Hopefully, that we ride that momentum into today's game. We got David Peterson on the mound. That's always a good sign, right? David Peterson has been pretty much, besides the baby Mets, right? Obviously, Mr. Clean, Nolan McLean, and Brandon Sproat, who I like to call Sproat Milk. Uh, those two guys have done really well. Tong has shown some flashes, right? In his initial debut, he showed really some dominance, but really showed in his last start that he really needs to work on a tertiary and then that fourth pitch, at least a tertiary pitch, to be able to stay competitive here in the major league level. Two pitches is not really going to cut it, but he has promise, right? What we know about the baby Mets is they're coming in under the gun. This is a team with playoff aspirations, championship aspirations, and really, to be honest, they've overperformed. As a group, they've overperformed. Somebody like Nolan McLean has obviously he's started showing hints of being a Matt Harvey type of pitcher, hopefully with more longevity than Matt Harvey showed. But that early dominance, he's shown that grit, and that he's ready for this, right? Brandon Sproat, maybe not as dominant as, let's say, Nolan McLean. And then obviously Tong is probably, bringing up the rear in terms of his readiness. But all three have shown what they're capable of. And I think the Mets have to be pleased with what they've been seeing so far, and hopefully Mets fans. It's just those guys have really, as a unit, done really well in a time when we really needed some quality pitching. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's never any promises in terms of this game, and we know that a week can make a big difference in terms of whether you make it or not. My hope is that the Mets have found that extra gear, and that we're going to get into the playoffs and then basically go on a run. If the season ended today, I believe we would be playing the Dodgers. I really like that. I know a lot of other Mets fans would disagree, but I personally like that only because I want the Mets to one, if we can't beat the Dodgers, we probably shouldn't be in the playoffs. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be thinking about a championship. And the fact that if we got the Dodgers in the first round, it would tell us right away whether we're ready for this or not, right? There's no sense in going on a deep run if you can't you can't be proven to show you can beat the Dodgers. I think during the regular season, we matched up really well with the Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers have had their own ups and downs in this year right after their championship season. But they're very much still the team to beat, right? They're the defending champions. They're the ones that everybody's gunning for, regardless of how you feel that they stack up compared to last season. So I'm excited to see what happens with this game. I think we're about like 4 minutes out from the game. Pardon my voice. My voice is a little hoarse. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I got my fedora on. I got my hat wall here. Hopefully, you guys dig this. And if you do, hit me up with a like, hit me up with a subscribe, right? If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, do so because it really gives me motivation to keep doing these live streams, right? Live streaming a game is not easy, Hopefully you guys at least can give me that much. I'm not the only person that live streams. Obviously, there's a lot of folks that do live stream, but that doesn't make it an easy thing to do. It's a big time commitment. It's a big energy commitment. I have another channel. I live streamed today for over 2 hours in that other channel. So it's one of those things where I do this because my energy levels allow for it, and I try to, when my energy levels allow for it, I try to do it because it may be different like later down the road. Who knows? Maybe next week I won't feel like doing anything. So I have to kind of strike while the iron's hot. So we'll see how this game turns out. We have David Peterson on the mound. He is going to hopefully tack on another win for us today. If not, well, what can you do? You can't really blame him. The Padres are a really good, solid team up and down that order. Right? They may not be at the caliber of the Dodgers, but then again, who is, right? The Padres are no joke. You look up and down that lineup and you can tell these guys are in terms, at least on the offensive side, and then obviously their pitching is not too shabby either. So yeah, the Mets pulled out the win yesterday in pretty convincing fashion. Doesn't mean that today it will continue. My hope is that it does. David Peterson is a ground ball pitcher. I actually think that the Mets need a lot more of these ground ball pitchers, right? We know that we like to walk folks, right? With David Peterson, the difference is that if David Peterson issues a walk, which I don't know what his walk rate is, to be honest. If he does issue a walk, the chances are of him getting a ground ball, double play ball on the very next batter is a lot higher because he's trying to pitch the contact, right? And then he leaves it in the hands of his defense, right? And hopefully the defense behind him, picks him up and is able to turn that double play. Doesn't always happen, but that's baseball, right? It takes a team to win these games. David Peterson has been as consistent as you can be for a Mets starting pitcher this year, and he's just picked up right where he left off last year. He may not have some of the stats that he posted last year in terms of wins, but it hasn't been because of his lack of effort and performance on the field. I feel like he's been as consistent, the most consistent pitcher that we've had. Nolan McLean is probably performed better, but that's a smaller sample size, right? You can't really compare Nolan McLean to David Peterson. Nolan McLean is still just getting his feet wet. But from what we've seen, obviously McLean has been dominating, right? That's great to hear. That's always great to see. And the proof is going to be in the pudding in terms of like over the long haul. So we'll see how this happens. Like I said, it's promising, but with baseball, just like in life, there's no guarantees. So we'll see. We'll have to just play the game and see how it runs. But yeah, you can see that lineup for the Padres. They're not a bad team at all. This is a very, very formidable team. They're not, like I said, they're not on the caliber of the Dodgers, but again, who is, right? The Dodgers have one of the most balanced lineups in baseball, and they won a championship last year for a reason. So again, the Padres are a team. I actually had a great chance to visit San Diego last year for TwitchCon, and that team, like that city, is behind the Padres, their Padres team. You got to give them that. You go through San Diego, and all you see is a sea of San Diego Padres hats, and that's nice to see. Even as somebody that is not a fan of the Padres, you got to admire that, right? All right. Well, it looks like Tatis already singled. That might have actually been the very first pitch of the game. Goes to show you, like, right? You might only get your best pitch on that first pitch. Shout out to Fernando Tatis for taking advantage of that. Let's see if the Peterson can get a ground ball from Arias. Arias struck out last night, and it probably was only I believe the stat line said it was the second time that the Mets struck out Arias, which is ridiculous. Just goes to show you he's a throwback type hitter. All right, we got 1-1 on Arias. Hopefully, you guys can see everything well on your side. I can make adjustments if you guys need it, but I think I captured most of like the stuff that you need to see. It's 2-1 on Arias. Hopefully, we can get a double play ball. If you just joined us, we got Fernando Tatis just singled, I believe, on the very first pitch of the game. So it looks like David Peterson just needs that double play. He's down 3-1. Anyhow, guys, thanks for rocking with me tonight. I wasn't really planning to live stream tonight. I just decided at the last moment to do it. We'll see how it goes tonight. All right, not so good. Arias walked. Everybody knows how I feel about walks at this point. Walks are deadly. And now you got your number 3 hitter, Manny Machado, up with 2 people on, including somebody on scoring position. It's always a dangerous proposition. Manny Machado can put the ball out the ballpark in a hurry. All right, call strike 0-1 on Manny Machado. See if we can get a double play ball here. Preferably a double play third base, something to the third base side. Oh, we got an out. Let's see if what happened here. All right, Manny Machado grounded out to third base. Brett Beatty to first baseman. Okay, well, it looks like we weren't able to get the lead runner, so that's not fantastic. But we did get an out. My hope was that Machado was going to ground out to third base and we'd be able to tag the bag and flip over to first for a double play. Didn't happen. I don't know. Maybe Tatis got a good jump. He does run really well. Looks like they scored a run. Let's see what happened here. We got Sheets here. Sheets out on a sacrifice fly to center field. Tatis scores. Well, there you go. The Padres get on the board really quickly. They played some solid baseball. A leadoff hit by Tatis. He gets moved over on a walk as well as a ground ball, and then scores on a sac fly. That's just good baseball. What can you do? We got 2 outs. Hopefully, we can get Laureano out here and get out the inning with just giving up 1 run. It's a called strike. It's 1-1 on Laureano. And usually I'm able to, what I'll do is I'll have this going, but I'll have the game pulled up next to me. So I'm actually going to set that up while we watch this at bat. Hopefully technology helps me out here. Two and one on Laureano. So come on, Peterson. Let's get this out and let's get out of this inning. All right. Laureano grounds out to shortstop to Lindor, who flips over to Alonso out of the inning. But the Mets are down now 1-0. And they come to bat in the bottom of the first. See if I can pull up this game here on my other machine. That way, I'm able to see the game while I'm calling it. Let's see here. All right. Excellent. All right. If you're just joining us, the Mets are down 1-0. You got a leadoff single by Fernando Tatis. He moved up to second on a walk to Arias. There was a ground ball. A ground ball by who hit the ground ball? Ground ball by Machado moved up Tatis to third, and then a sac fly by Gavin Sheets scored. The sac fly scored Tatis. So the Mets already down really quickly, 1-0, but Laureano got out, and Peterson got out of the inning with only 1 run scored. That's not bad. Not too shabby, to be, if you ask me. If you guys are hearing me, I sound a little congested because I am congested. So, bear with me as I try to get through here without sounding like Mr. Snuffleupagus. I think everybody's pretty happy to see that Alvarez is back in the lineup. He just been getting pummeled by pitches. Wow, that play for Laureano to get Laureano at first was actually really close. I guess I didn't realize how much Laureano can fly. All right, Lindor pops out to third base. Manny Machado quickly, 1 out. Not the way we wanted to start the game, but you know what? That's baseball. We got Nick Pivetta up on the mound for San Diego. I don't know how well we've done against Pivetta, but I know his name. Again, it's a Major League Baseball pitcher. What are you going to do? No slouches here. That'll bring up Juan Soto, or Juan Godo, as I like to refer to him these days. Just on the Facebook groups, and somebody said Peterson suck, and then somebody kind of co-signed it. I'm just surprised that people think David Peterson sucks. I mean, come on, guys. You guys don't know. If you're telling me David Peterson sucks, then you guys are just telling me how little you know about baseball. I got to respond to this. All right. Juan Soto lines out to center field. Quickly, 2 down. You get a sense when you watch the Padres and the Mets get together that there isn't a lot of like, there's not an animosity between these two teams, right? Obviously, they're trying to win the game, but you see Tatis out there chopping it up with Juan Soto. You see Lindor chopping it up with them, as well as Pete Alonso. Everybody remembers the All-Star break, the All-Star game where Pete Alonso hit the home run, and Lindor and Tatis were celebrating with them in the photo. It just goes to show you gotta love that. And again, I just had to respond to that comment, you know, like, who sucks worse, Peterson or Garrett? Can pick only one. I'm like, how could Peterson be compared to Garrett? You know what I mean? Honestly, Garrett is not as terrible, I think, as people make him out to be. Um, there's so many more Mets pitchers that are doing worse than Reed Garrett. But I'm like, why is Peterson coming up, in a conversation about players that suck? That makes me start thinking that you guys are some Yankee fans infiltrating the Mets forums, you know? And just like that, Pete Alonso homers on a fly ball to center field. The polar bear ties the game up at 1-1. His number 36 on the season for the polar bear, Pete Alonso. And the Mets get that one right back. Maybe these guys will tell me that Pete Alonso sucks. Who knows? You could never tell with some of these quote unquote Mets fans. Sometimes our Mets fans are just like our worst enemies, to be honest. I feel like that's a truism in baseball altogether. It's pretty sickening, to be honest. Yeah, if that Pete Alonso home run comes up on the on the clickable, I will show it. That way you guys can see Pete Alonso's homer. Um, yeah. Shout out to the polar bear. He's actually, it feels like he's heating up. So he's up to 269. So it looks like our 1 through 5 hitters in this lineup, excuse me, are batting over 260. That's not bad. Lots to like about that, to be honest. And Nimmo pops out to third, and that will end the inning, but not before the Mets tie it on Pete Alonso's 36th home run of the season. And the Mets go into the top of the second, tied 1-1 with the Padres. Then you got Nolan McLean there chopping it up with the Jonathan in the dugout. That's always nice to see. Look like Arias went and tried to flip Jonathan's cap. Jonathan is actually really fun to see in the dugout. Yeah, that homer by Pete, that was legit. Legit homer by Pete Alonso. Just watching the replay now. You gotta love the polar bear. Gotta love the polar bear. Oh yeah. Got the apple raised. Just typical Pete Alonso swing. Just effortless. When he's on, he's effortless. Just effortless power. And you could tell as Pete was riding the bases, he's got like that strut, right? When Pete's on, he's got that strut. It's like he's having fun, right? You kind of know when a player's having fun with their body language, and Pete's having fun. All right, we got Peterson back out for the top of the second. Let's see if I can pull up Pete Alonso's home run here.
The cap. Why? Alonso throws one deep left center. That's gone. Pete Alonso homers for the third straight game. Number 36 for Pete. And that ties things up at 1.
Yeah, Pete. Yeah, Pete.
Into the seats in left center. Pete is.
Let's see if I could go back here without ruining anything. Let's see here. Like, hopefully you guys saw that without me ruining anything. So it's 1-2 on Jackson Merrill. If you're just joining us, Pete Alonso just hit a game-tying home run in the bottom of the first. Got our run back. You gotta love the polar bear. Shout out to Pete. I got a feeling that we're gonna re-sign Pete. Again, if we don't re-sign Pete, I don't think it's gonna be the end of the world. I'm not one of those Mets fans, right? That it's Pete or bust. But I like to have Pete back. Just because I don't think it's going to be the end of the world doesn't mean I don't want Pete Alonso back on this team. So just don't get it twisted, guys. Oh, it's 2-2 and a Jackson Merrill. Let's see if David can get us a scoreless inning here. That one can come back up and try to get a chance to get ahead in this game. You know. So I just did the replay on Pete Alonso's home run. That was a typical Pete home run, right? Maybe not like Oppo Pete, right? That's like the best Pete. All right, Jackson Merrill hits a leadoff single, fly ball to center field. Looks like the Padres aren't going to go down without a fight. But if you see Pete when he starts going into his pool side, that was a typical Pete Alonso pool side home run. You know, it was very beautiful and it was very effortless. So, shout out to Pete. Looks like Pete's getting heated up. We need it right now. We need it bad. Let's see if we can get a double play ball here. Get out, get the 2 outs and get out this inning a little bit quicker. This Padre squad is no joke. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys about this lineup. Very balanced, especially on the top of that order, starting with Fernando Tatis. All right, we got Candelita. Iglesias grounds out softly to David Peterson, who flips it over to Pete. But Iglesias thus advanced the runner to second base, so it was a productive out by Candelita. I think Mets fans have a very, very soft spot for Jose Iglesias. I know I do. He's one of those players that like we never stop liking. You know, like we have those guys, right? We got like Glenn Dykstra, you know, Jason DeGrom. Those players that like even if they're in a different uniform, we still rooted for them, right? We didn't want to see them fail. Um, I mean, I feel like Len Dykstra is one of those guys that was like really tested that theory, right? Because Len Dykstra went to our division rival. Um, he went over to the Phillies or the Filthies, right? Um, and Len Dykstra could still like when I remember when the Phillies were playing the Mets and they had Len Dykstra, there were guys like, all right, get a hit, but don't score. They were rooting on Len Dykstra. And I actually secretly was one of them, right? Like, even though I love my Mets, I didn't want to say anything bad about Dykstra because he played with such heart. Obviously, he's a controversial figure, somebody that has admitted to using steroids. Right? We know that once he got to the Phillies, who knows? Maybe even before he got to the Phillies, he was on steroids, as a lot of guys were. But he had that season when he was flirting with 400. Right? If you guys remember, back in the day, he was flirting for 400, and Mets fans were rooting for that guy. I know I was. You were like everybody since Ted Williams has been like flirting with 400. All right, so it looks like the Padres got that run back. Jake Cronenworth singles on the line drive to Cedric Mullins, and he scores Jackson Merrill. Well, that's what happens, right? The leadoff guy gets on. He got pushed over and puts him in scoring position. Padres executed. You can't do anything but tip your hat, right? That's the way baseball is supposed to be done. Um, we'll see if the Mets are able to answer back, right? Let's get a couple more outs and see if we can get this run back. Um, this is just gonna how it has to be because the Padres are gonna be in the playoffs. They're gonna be the caliber of team that we're gonna see in the playoffs. And if we can't beat them, well, then all right. Well, there we go. Ground ball double play. Remember Peterson's a ground ball pitcher, and he gets that ground ball. So he gets Elias Diaz to ground into a double play over to Brett Beatty, who flips it to McNeil, who flips it over to Alonso, and we got out of the inning. But not before the Padres score one run and regain the lead 2-1. Mets will send up Marte, McNeil, and Beatty in the bottom of the second to see if we can get that run back. We'll see. Like I said, I fully expect a back and forth affair. The Padres are too good of a team to be laid down to anybody, let alone the Mets. If you're watching this, drop a like. If you haven't already, if you're watching this, drop a sub, right? Hit sub to the channel because the more you guys sub, the more motivation I get to do these kind of live streams. This is not easy to do. This takes up a lot of time, and I'm happy to do it. Don't get me wrong. But when I see the subs going up, I see the likes going up, it gives me motivation to kind of do these live streams. I have another channel. I have a channel that's a little bit bigger than this channel, but not by much. You know what I mean? I think I have like 14 subscribers on this channel. I have another channel that has 45 subscribers. That's more dedicated to my hats, right? Like if you're looking at the hat wall, this is no accident. I'm a felt hat collector in particular. So I got a lot of fedoras. I have a channel, Good Lukes. If you guys want to drop a sub on that, if you want to learn more about fine hats, then drop me a sub over at Good Lukes. I'm building that channel up. I do a lot of live streaming there. I basically do 2 live streams at least per week. I drop a live on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern. I call it Hat Tuesdays. I also drop a live every Friday called Fedora Fridays. And I go into like movies that feature prominent hats. I already done 2 of those. I did The Godfather, the original Godfather. I also did a movie called LA Confidential with Russell Crowe, Kevin Spacey, and a bunch of other guys that were really prominent. Also a great hat movie, So if you guys like that kind of content, then drop me a sub there. Otherwise, drop me a sub here. If you're just a Mets fan, you don't care about fedoras, drop me a sub here because, I want to see if you're rocking with your boy here. All right, we got Marte up. He is quickly up 2-0. Marte has had a kind of a sneaky decent season, right? Nobody really expected much from Marte this year, even though his salary is ridiculous, to be honest. Uh, Obviously, Marte is not going to be on this team next season. I think he knows that. Everybody else knows that. Right now it's kind of his swan song. I doubt that he even plays professional ball. Right? If JD Martinez couldn't get signed, I doubt somebody like Marte is going to get signed. But it's not impossible. You know what I mean? If he does re-sign with another team, it'll be for a much lower contract. He's not going to make $20-something million like he's doing this season. Those days are done for him. So hopefully he made good investments. Hopefully his boy Juan Soto will throw him some money if he does need a little bit of extra money. But yeah, $20-something million a year, I think he's going to be okay. And Marte's called out on strikes. That is the first out of the inning. And that'll send up McNuggets. McNuggets or McNutsack, depending on how I feel about him that day. He had the key pivotal hit last night, to be honest. He had that 2-out double that scored a couple runs after Vientos grounded into the double play. That was huge for the Mets because right after that, as you can see, Beatty had hit the 2-run home run that kind of put the Mets over 5-0. So you don't get that if you didn't get the McNuggets, two RBI double. So shout out to McNuggets. Hopefully these guys are going to start hitting on all cylinders. Right? We got to get into the playoffs. The first order of business, get into the playoffs. Second order of business, go on a tear in the playoffs. I'm hoping that's what happens, but we don't know. All right, we have a game advisory, an injury delay. I don't know what happened. We'll find out. I don't know if it's with McNuggets or it's with the pitcher. Let's see what's going on. If you guys know what's going on, let me know. By the way, if you guys are curious about what hat I got on, this is called an Akubra Style Master. It's in navy blue. This is a hat that originates from Australia. And people that know about hats and they know about Kubra, they know about the Style Master. It is a pretty cool hat. I just got it, and I think it looks kind of sharp, to be honest. Hopefully you guys like it too, even if you're not into these kind of hats. Still in an injury delay. I don't know what's going on. My guess, I don't know if McNuggets got hit. I don't know if it's the pitcher that tore something on his way to delivering the pitch. We will find out pretty soon what the heck is going on. When it says injury delay, they don't really tell you who got injured. I think that's something, that MLB.com needs to work on. Just give us a little bit more information. Let us know who's hurt, right? Everybody's like looking at this. If you're just looking at this and not looking at the actual game, you're like wondering, like, who the heck is hurt? Let's see. I'll let you know. I got the other game on. I got the game on another screen here, but it's in delayed. So we'll see if I can tell you who got hurt. We'll see who finds out first here. Well, it looks like Pivetta is still in the game. So if it was Pivetta, then he's still pitching. But Pivetta falls behind McNuggets 3-1. Oh, it was the umpire. All right. So none of the above. The injury delay was the umpire. Took one right in the nutsack. Sorry, ump. You got a tough job. Full count to McNeil. Sorry, it wasn't a nutsack. He took one in the chest. Sorry, I don't know why I thought that he took one in the jewels. Took one to the chest. And McNuggets lines out to center field. It now 2 outs. Now it'll be up to Brett Beatty to see if he can tie it up. See if Master Beatty can crank one out here. And Beatty doubles on a sharp line drive to center field. Master Beatty continues his torrid hitting, picking up from yesterday when he hit a 2-run bomb. And that'll bring up Alvy. Everybody's secretly cringing when Alvy comes up, right? Because Alvarez keeps getting plunked. I'm gonna have to wrap that guy up in bubble wrap. If you're just joining us, the Mets are down 2-1. They fell behind 1-0 when Fernando Tatis scored on a sac fly in the first inning. The Mets got that one back when Pete Alonso homered in the bottom of the first, and then fell back behind, in the top of the second. And they're down to 2 outs right here in the bottom of the second. We'll see if they can get this one back. We got Beatty that just doubled. And then we have Francisco Alvarez up with an 0-1 count. Pardon my congestion. I have I don't know if it's allergies or something's going on, but I'm definitely congested. We'll see if I can do this without sounding too silly. So evened up the count. It's 1-1 on Alvarez. 2-1 to Alvarez. Let's see if Alvarez can get a nice little single, hopefully in the gap. That way it'll be a no-brainer, right? So Beatty should be running on contact with 2 outs. I don't think Beatty's a great runner, but he's not a terrible runner. Swinging strike, 2-2 to Alvarez. Let's see if Alvarez can go and put this ball the other way with authority. He takes ball 3, 3-2. All right, Alvy, let's go. Base hit, ball 4. Let's go, baby. And Alvarez lines out to right fielder Tatis. So he did go oppo, but not enough to be able to get a base hit out of it. So we threaten with 2 outs on the Brett Beatty double, but we do not score. And it's still 2-1 Padres heading into the top of the third. The Padres will send up the top of the order: Fernando Tatis, Arraez, as well as Manny Machado. You guys can already tell, like, the piggyback system, right? Last night we used the piggyback system with Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea. I don't know if that's what we have planned, right? David Peterson has been the one guy that you feel like, other than maybe Nolan McLean, that you're like, I don't really need to piggyback on that guy. We'll see. I guess it all depends. We'll see if Mendy pulls out the piggyback system tonight. He may not. He may do so. He may not. It all depends on how well Peterson does, whether he chooses to burn a starting pitcher and do that piggyback system that he started last night. We all know that the Dodgers are really big on the pitching piggyback system. If you guys aren't familiar with that term, what that really means is you take 2 starters and essentially piggyback them, right? You have one start the game, and then the idea is that that person goes through maybe midway through the game. And then the idea is that the second starter will come in and potentially finish that game. And I believe that's what we accomplished last night. We had Clay Holmes and then Sean Manaea finish the game, and they did quite well. right? They only gave up 3 runs. They gave up some home runs, but they were all with nobody on base. And we ended up pulling out the win 8-3. My guess is that because that worked so well, Mendy is going to be more likely to implement that option. I just don't know if it's something he's going to be doing that with somebody like David Peterson, who's really has been the most reliable guy that we've had, short of Nolan McLean, who's only had a very few number of starts. And Fernando Tatis takes ball 1. We'll see if we can get Tatis out. He's already up 2-0 on Peterson. Tatis is just one of those dangerous hitters. You know, you can see why he's the number 1 hitter on the Padres. He can beat you in so many different ways. I just remember watching his dad play. His dad was a tremendous hitter. He wasn't the all-around player that Tatis Jr. was, but he was a great hitter. And just like that, Tatis Jr. grounds out to Brett Beatty, who flips it over to Alonso for the first out of the inning, and we retire Tatis for the first time today. And that'll bring up also dangerous Arias. I mentioned this earlier. Arias is somebody that doesn't strike out very often. Last night, the Mets struck him out for just the second time, I believe, ever, if not this season. That's either way. That's a tremendous feather in the cap of Arias. It shows you. There you go. Arias grounds out. Peterson is doing Peterson things. He is getting the ground ball. So this time, Arias grounds out to Lindor, who flips it over to Pete for out number 2. And just like that, we got Manny Machado up with 2 outs. If you're watching this game as a Mets fan, you got to be thinking, okay, let's get this out. We got I believe we have what do we have up next? Make sure. Who made the last out? It doesn't matter. I don't remember. Whoever it is, we got to start off the right. And Manny Machado singles, a 2-out single to third base. And just like that, Padres have something cooking in the top of the third. Batter calls timeout. This is Dylan Sheets. I think Mets fans were pretty hyped up last night when they saw Lindor's wife come out there and play the national anthem on her violin. I thought that was pretty slick. I think we get a really kick out of seeing these ball players, a little bit of a glimpse into their personal life, right? Trust me, TMZ doesn't make all the money that they make for nothing. And Peterson falls 2-0, down 2-0 to Dylan Sheets with Manny Machado on at first. Hopefully he can get past this and get this last out and then get the Mets back up in the bottom of the third. It's funny, we've already been streaming for 49 minutes. It's amazing how time flies when it comes to this game, you know? I'm actually standing my desk. I have a lift up desk, right? So if you guys have seen any of my past streams, you guys are used to seeing like a whole all yellow background. But this time I stood the desk up. That way you guys can see some fedoras, right? That way it's a little bit less plain in the background. Hopefully you guys dig that. You know, I have no idea if you do. I know this is not a hat channel. You know, I actually do have a dedicated hat channel. So if you want to check that out, you're free to do so. Good Lukes. All right. Peterson gets Gavin Sheets to pop out to second base. McNeil squeezes it for the third out of the inning. And the score still remains 2-1 as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the third. And we're going to send up Mullins and then right back to the top of the order with Lindor and Soto. I'm going to take a quick restroom break. I'll be right back. All right, just like that, I am back. Sorry about that, but I'm an old man, prostate and all. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna check, see if anybody posted anything on Facebook. Boo, boo, boo. All right, just like that, we got Mullins up. He's down. No, he's actually up 3-1. See if Mullins can get something going here today. Mullins hit a home run, I believe his 17th of the season last night. That was always good to see. Mullins is one of those guys that you're kind of waiting for him to bust out. He's batting 220, not exactly killing it right now. But he did get home run number 17 last night, as did Beatty, both at 17, adding to Lindor, who hit his 27th. Pete Alonso hit his 35th last night and then got his 36th today to at that point tie the game up. But then the Mets fell back behind. And Mullins strikes out swinging. That's the first out here in the bottom of the third. And that'll bring up Francisco Lindor in the top of the order. Again, if you're joining us, pardon my congestion. I don't know if it's allergies or if I'm coming down with something, but I'm definitely congested. I'm trying to not let it affect me, but you guys might be like wondering why I sound so funny. And we got a foul ball by Lindor. He's down 0-2. right, Lindor might have gotten on base with a single. Let's see. Said no out. Lindor singles on a line drive to right field. And just like that, the Mets have a one-out base runner. That'll bring up Juan Soto here with one out and one on. You got to wonder if Lindor is going to try to steal a bag here. You already know Lindor sitting on 27 home runs. He's very close to the hitting that 30-30 mark. But you got to wonder if he's going to be able to make it, given the fact that there's very few games left. So beyond tonight's game, he's got about another 10 games left to try to hit that mark. He can certainly do it. There's no question. But whether he will do it is a whole nother ball of wax. Just like that, 1-1 to Juan Soto. Juan Soto flies out to left fielder. All right. Well, now it brings up Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso homered already today. Let's see if he can do a little bit more magic and try to drive in Francisco Lindor from first base. I don't think we get really too much triples from Pete Alonso. But you know what? He does hit home runs. Let's see if he can hit another one. Honestly, with 2 outs, a double deep in the gap could be enough. But with that said, Pete Alonso falls behind 0-2. Now we had a pickoff attempt at first base. Looks like the Padres are well aware of the fact that the Mets have a heavy run game. They're just trying to keep Lindor honest over at first base. And Alonso fouls off the next pitch. We'll do it again at 0-2. Wow, they showed the splits for the first 125 games for Juan Soto versus the last 23 games. Night and day difference. Juan Soto is on a tear. All right, Pete takes ball 1 and is now 1-2 to Pete Alonso. 2 outs, Lindor on first base. And Pete Alonso strikes out swinging. And that is the end of the frame. The Mets failed to score on the single by Lindor and still trail the Padres 2-1 heading into the top of the 4th. Soto has like the most priceless reactions to missing a ball. He always like says something weird to the catcher. Just wonder what he's saying to the catcher. The nice thing about Juan Soto is, he understands that he wasted an at bat, right? You kind of see it on his face, like, man, I wasted that at bat. Even though it's like it's good to have a short term memory as a hitter, right? But it doesn't mean you don't want to learn from your at bat. I think that is, if that's anything we can learn from how Juan Soto competes up on the plate, is that, it's okay. It's okay to like make a mistake, um, but you want to learn from it. And his body language indicates to me that he's learning from his mistakes. I mean, I may be reading into it, but I feel like he is. Looks like Laureano is going to lead off the inning. He takes ball one. And Laureano lines out to right field. Just like that, one out. Peterson's pretty efficient so far. Again, I'm still kind of reeling of the fact that those Mets fans in that Facebook group said that Peterson sucks. Again, if Peterson sucks, what can you think of the rest of our pitching staff? Maybe short of Nolan McLean. Maybe Peterson does suck, and I'm just like drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know. But I have a feeling that he doesn't suck. I've been watching the Mets this season. Peterson has not given me an indicator that like that guy sucks. And just like that, Jackson Merrill flies out to center field, 2 down. You gotta love the way David Peterson pitches to contact. Again, in an age where we celebrate the pitcher that likes to get all the strikeouts, it's way more efficient as a pitcher to pitch to contact, right? Work the zone, get them to ground out, miss those barrels, right? Miss the barrel. And it doesn't always work, right? Sometimes you will eventually give up a bomb. But the idea is that if you keep working with that idea that you're going to make the batter swing the bat, you now put your team in a much better situation to win a ball game. I got to think. Again, I don't have any like hard data to back that up, but I feel like it's a thing. I mean, strikeouts are great and all. I'm not trying to poo-poo strikeouts. I just feel like being a strikeout pitcher is a good way to, one, blow out your arm, and two, it's just not very efficient. You know, I'm like, make them swing the bat, make them not hit the ball squarely, and give your defense a chance to work. I feel like that's a recipe to keeping your pitch count low, saving some wear and tear on your arm, And overall, much better result. It's a lost art. All right. Peterson strikes out, gets the strikeout there. And just like that, the Mets will come back to bat. Another donut for the Padres. So 2 straight donuts by Peterson. The Padres still lead 2-1. The Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the 4th. They will send up Brandon Nimrod, Marte McFly, and McNuggets up to bat. All right, I'm going to take a quick break and just cut off my mic. I'm going to go grab some crackers. Hopefully you guys will bear with me as I eat on stream. All right, I am back. And we got Nick Pivetta pitching to Brandon Nimrod. Just FYI, I'm going to be doing cheese and crackers right now. I'm a big fan of Aldi. If you guys haven't already seen that from a previous stream, I got these Triscuit type crackers. So I'm going to just place that there. I also have this sharp cheddar cheese that I really like. So hopefully you guys don't mind the crunching. But as we see the Mets bat here, I would just keep chowing down, and then hopefully you guys don't mind. I'll probably make a bunch of noise here, but you know what? When you gotta eat, you gotta eat. It is so far 1-2 to Brandon Nimrod here in the bottom of the 4th as the Mets trail 2-1. Hopefully you guys are pardoning me as I indulge myself. I have a particular way of eating my Triscuits. I will fold them into a trifold, and then I'll break them up further into another set of 3. So essentially, I'll have what is that? 9 pieces of cheese. And then, of course, my cat comes in like clockwork. My cat Oliver. Hi, Ollie. How you doing? He is eyeballing the cheese. You probably haven't seen Oliver, but those folks that kind of know my account, I used to have an account. I still have the account, but I used to post under the name Oliver. And it was Oliver Catino, which is basically my cat. Shout out to Oliver. He is a hungry, hungry cat. Eternally hungry. All right, just like that. Marte, it might be the cheese and crackers. Marte homers to center field as the Mets take a 1-0 lead. I don't know. I'm gonna chalk that up to the crackers. Go Marte. Shout out to Marte McFly. I guess he found his 1.21 gigawatts. As soon as that highlight is able to be reviewed, I will post that for you guys. But Nuggets falls 1-2. It's only one out. If you just missed it, Starling Marte, aka Marte McFly, just tied the game up in the bottom of the fourth with a solo home run to center field. I will show that highlight as soon as it's available. And Brett Beatty singles on a sharp line drive to right field. And the Mets have a 2-out base runner here in the bottom of the fourth as they are tied 1-0. Sorry, 2-2. Sorry. Brain fart. So Alvy is down 0-1. Looks like that highlight for Marte's home run is available. I will wait to between the frames to show that. And Alvy flies out to right field to end the inning, but not before the Mets tie it 2-2 on a solo home run to center field by Starling Marte, a.k.a. Marte McFly. And I will show that highlight right now.
Honda is Kelly Blue Book's 2025 Best Value brand. Get a
Not
great
before
offer.
an ad, apparently.
Buy online or visit your local Honda dealer today.
For Honda.
That's a great question. I think that if you're an older player,
Marte drives one deep left field. Forget that. That's way out of here. Starling Marte Marte ties the game.
Got hanging
There's a
curveball.
veteran for you. Ninth home run of the year, and the Mets get even 2-2.
Gary, I was going to say, if you're a veteran player who's going good at the time, yes, it can help. And Marte, it seems every time he starts, gets a big hit.
Wow, nice exit velocity there. Almost 110 miles per hour.
Carlos Mendoza.
Well, right. All right, Peterson starts the top of the fifth and quickly gets ahead 0-2 to Cronenworth. Ball 1-2 to Cronenworth. Very back and forth game today so far. Foul ball, 2-2. And Cronenworth is hit by a pitch. And the leadoff man is on in the top of the fifth for the Padres. Tie game 2-2 so far. All right. Elias is out on a sack bunt to David Peterson, but he does move Cranesworth over to second base. So it's actually a really productive out. And it's 1-0 to Tatis Jr. So back to the top of the order for the Padres. And Mets game is cutting to photos of video of Jonathan in the dugout. Good to see him nice and calm. Because earlier we showed, well, we didn't show it, but I saw the video of Arias coming in for a foul ball that he couldn't catch. And then I think he flipped, he tapped Jonathan on the brim, and Jonah came back with a smile. You got to love that. The veterans kind of having a playful fun with the rookies. Ball in the dirt. It is 2-2 to Tatis Jr. with 1 out and man on second base. Pardon my chewing. I usually don't try to eat. I just happen to feel like I needed to have some cheese and crackers. And so I did. I don't think there's anybody here watching us at this moment, so I'm going to take advantage. And Tatis walks. First and second, only 1 out. And that'll bring up the dangerous Arias. And we haven't mounted it. Makes sense. Just trying to make sure that Peterson knows the situation, knows who's up at bat, and kind of has a game plan, right? Like if you play this game or if you watch it played at any kind of decent level, you kind of realize that a player, while they're on the field, has to have an idea of, right, before the play actually happens, right? Everybody knows that there's time that it takes between pitches. They're going to be like, what do I do before the ball gets to me? Meaning, when the ball gets to me, what should I be looking for? That way you have a game plan in case the ball does go to you, and you can execute without having to put too much thought into it, right? The really good players know how to do that between innings without having it distract them. And it's just, again, it's one of those things that there's really no downtime there that should be had. There's not like you like not thinking about anything. The idea is always what should I do given what I see right around me? What should I do when the ball gets to me? And just like that, Araya singles on a soft bunt over to Brett Beatty. Cronenworth goes over to third. Tatis moves to second base. It is now bases loaded and only 1 out. And we have the dangerous Manny Machado up. So if I'm a Mets fan, I know what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a 1-2-3 double play here. Basically, ground ball to David Peterson that he handles really cleanly, shoots over to Alvey at home plate, and then Alvey shoots over cleanly over to Pete Alonso for the 1-2-3 double play. That's best case scenario. And Peterson quickly falls behind Machado 1-0. Just watching the replay of that that bunt by Arias, it was perfectly placed. Really nothing that Brett Beatty could do. And falls behind Manny Machado, 3-1. Now 3-2. It's a foul ball, 3-2 to Manny Machado. Pretty pivotal pitch coming out right up. Oh boy. Manny Machado hits a grand slam to left center field. Everybody on base scores, 4 runs in, and the Padres now winning 6-2. Kind of a mistake, you know? This is what happens when you got base runners. This is a professional league. David Wright gets Gavin Sheets to fly out to left field, but falls behind 3-0 to Laureano. And Laureano walks. And Jackson Merrill flies out to left field. That'll be the third out of the inning, but not before the Padres put 4 on the board on a grand slam by Manny Machado as the Padres lead the match 6-2, heading into the bottom of the 5th inning. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna get some of those Mets fans telling me, "Oh my gosh, David Peterson sucks." Didn't I tell you? You guys don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but not sorry. You guys do not know what you're talking about. Shout out to Jody. Yeah, Jody's tuning in now. Jody is a lawyer follower of my son CP. Shout out to CP. Yeah, Jody, I'm eating cheese and crackers. Hopefully that's okay. But yeah, what are you gonna do? We made a mistake pitch to a dangerous hitter, and he hit it out the ballpark for a grand slam. What are you gonna do? It is what it is. This is baseball. The Padres are no chumps. Just because they're not as good as the Dodgers does not mean that they are pushovers. Far from it. Anybody has seen the Padres in the last few years knows they're a dangerous team. So, but I agree. I agree with Jody. Jody, I think that the Mets will come back as long as it doesn't get out of hand. 6-2 is not insurmountable. We got just about half of the game left to play. I think we could do it. Honestly, it is what it is, right? This is the game. This is the game that we signed up to watch. But just like that, Mullins is down 1-2. Now, Mullins hit that home run last night. I'm hoping that we see some more of that, right? we need Mullins to get like on a tear. You know, if we can get Mullins on the tear, that's going to be a really good sign for our bottom of the order, right? We got Beatty that's doing pretty well. He's already got 2 hits today. Obviously, Alvey has had, when he's not getting plunked by a pitch, he's doing quite well. If we get Mullins in that 9-hole producing, we're going to be formidable. Again, we may or may not make it in this game, but I'm worried about the long haul, right? Like the goal is to make it into the playoffs and get in on the tear. And if we're able to do that, then that's the idea, right? Right now, if the season ended, it looks like we'll be facing the Dodgers. I want that matchup. I really want that matchup. So Jody says, I can't believe I checked your channel. I was just thinking if and when you might have another watch party. Looks like I missed the 2 others in the last few weeks. Let's go Mets, blue and orange skies forever. Hey, Jody, no worries. Like I said, I didn't even know I was going to a live stream. I was on CP's live stream, the pregame he did with Rob this afternoon, and got me motivated, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. It got me motivated. I mentioned I might go live. I don't know. And then I ended up doing it. I got this blue, navy blue fedora. So you can see my hat walls now coming into play here. And I'm like, all right, well, let me do something. Who knows? Maybe nobody's going to watch, but that's okay. Usually what happens is I don't plan on anybody watching per se. If it happens, hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Jody. If it happens, great. If it's not, it's just me having a drink from my adult sippy cup, having some crackers from Aldi, no product placement, but you know what? I shop at Aldi because, well, they give me the most for my money. So if you're wondering what's in the sippy cup, this is what I like to refer to as wanking owl. If you read the box, you'll read winking owl. But if you guys know my humor, you'll know that I refer to this as wanking owl. So shout out to Aldi for the cheap box wine in wanking owl. And I say this as the Mets make their second out. Lindor grounds out to the shortstop, Candelita. And just like that, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Juan Soto. Yeah, there you go. I get it. Yeah, I knew you would, Jody. Thank you. Thanks for being so awesome and digging my humor. It's not for everybody, CP likes to run his channel a little bit clean. I run my channel, well, not necessarily like filthy, but you know what? I like to take liberties with the language sometimes, right? So there's nothing wrong with that, I think with when you get to be my age, you just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do me, right? Like the kids say, you do you, I'll do me. So I'm not gonna apologize for it. I mean, sometimes I will. If you check out my other channel, my hat channel, I'm a lot more active on my hat channel. Yeah, exactly. Our generation. Yeah. You know what? I mean, once you get to a certain age, you're just like you are unapologetically you, right? And you just do you because, well, it's exhausting not being yourself, right? I was actually going to write a paper. I'm a researcher by trade, and I'm going to write a paper on authenticity. I just actually attended a conference yesterday, a professional conference for a lot of other like data nerds. And I told myself I'm going to go and write that paper at some point. So we'll see, because I like to share my knowledge. I've been doing research for well over 20 years, and you know what? I like to go and chop it up with the young kids, and see what they're up to, because it makes me feel young. These hats make me feel young. And this team, regardless of how well we do, it still makes me feel young, because I remember all the good times I had at Shea Stadium with my dad. 1988, I got to see a one-hitter by David Cone with my dad. And guess who broke up the no-hitter for David Cone? It was Tony Gwynn. Rest in peace to Tony Gwynn. Great hitter. And Juan Soto homers on a line drive to right field. Juan Goto, right? We don't call him Juan Soto anymore. It's Juan Goto, because he's doing GOAT things. Shout out to the goat milk. Yeah, I went to Shea. Yeah, exactly. Shea Stadium was back in the 80s. Shea Stadium was electric. You know, you went to Shea Stadium and the vibe was electric. You could feel the electricity in the crowd, right? Because Shea Stadium, I believe Shea Stadium had a bigger capacity than Citi Field. I actually haven't never been to Citi Field, to be honest. CP has gone several times. We've never gone together. I've never gone at all. I just never felt like I had to go to Citi Field, right? I go to Nats Park when the Mets are in town. But and I'll go with CP if we're both available. But I haven't been in Citi Field, but in Shea Stadium, if you remember Shea Stadium back in the day, it was electric. When the Mets were in their heyday in that 86, 87, 88 era, man, it was good times. Good times. Jody says, I took my mom and we were up in the nosebleed section. Yeah, exactly. And it didn't matter, right? Back in the day, my dad never sprung for great seats. We were always in the nosebleed section. If we had a couple beers, my dad had a couple beers in him, we would like start slowly migrating down, right? You start getting a little emboldened sometimes, and then you start going down and further and see how close you can get to the field by the end of the game, right? And then you basically got your money's worth and then some. So, but if you're just joining us, I got Jody Sellers here over from CP's channel. My boy CP, really, really good dude. And I'm happy to kind of welcome anybody that is from CP's channel over to my channel. But Juan Soto just hit a solo home run, typically is what he does this season. And he cut down a little bit of that lead, right? We got that grand slam by Manny Machado to bring him up by 4 runs. Juan Soto did his part to kind of cut into that lead, and he's having a tremendous season so far. Might even do 40-40. Jody says, I want to do that, but my mom wouldn't do it. Yeah, it depends on what kind of parent you got, right? Sometimes some parents are just like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to follow the rules, right? Because they want to make sure that they're teaching you the right thing. My dad was somebody when he had a little bit of liquid courage, right? He had a couple beers in him. He'd get emboldened. And the nice thing is that we never really got in trouble for it. We still do it. Like me and CP will do it. Usually it's CP that does it first, and I'll follow him. And he'll be like, you know what? It's time to go and move it a little closer to the Mets dugout over in Nats Park. And then I'll follow him, right? I usually will be fine with just sitting where I paid for, right? But if who I'm with in the park goes down further, well, I don't want to leave them by themselves, so I'll go follow them. And Jody said she was a cool mom, but went by the strict rules. Yeah, and honestly, that's a safe route. There's nothing wrong with that. Shout out to all the parents that follow the rules because, well, one, that's how they were raised, right? And they want to make sure they're teaching you the right thing. So there's nothing wrong with that. Luckily, my dad wasn't as strict with some of that kind of stuff. But it didn't mean like, we were raised in a barn or anything, regardless of what you might think from my behavior. I was not raised in a barn. My parents were actually quite cool, to be honest. So shout out to my parents. They're actually both alive. And, I love them to death, right? I mean, I'm like, wow, they are in their 80s and still doing well. My dad still watches the game. My dad is such a Juan Soto hater. It's kind of like that old Puerto Rican thing. My dad is like, all right, it's that rivalry between Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. He's like, no, Juan Soto is not the best here. It's Lindor. Lindor's the captain, and he's the best there is. So anytime Juan Soto does something great, he always mentions how great Lindor is. I'm like, Dad, I understand. It's fine. They're both great. They're both pillars of this team. But my dad has that thing, Fortunately, I don't have that thing. I don't care. I love the fact that Lindor's a fellow Puerto Rican guy, but at the same time, Juan Soto is Juan Soto, right? I'm like, I don't care where he's from. He's great. So it looks like we got Pete Alonso singling on a line drive to center field. Nice little poke by Pete. Pete's having a little bit of a game here, right? Pete's 2 for 3. He had that big home run to tie the game in the first inning, and now he singles with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Shout out to Pete. You know, I was just mentioning this earlier on in the stream. I really want Pete Alonso to get re-signed by this team, right? It doesn't mean like I'm going to be like, oh, man, we didn't re-sign Pete, right? If we don't re-sign Pete, I'm kind of like, I agree with Rob in this respect. Pete Alonso is great. That's fine. If we sign him, great. If we don't, we're going to be fine. You know, all's not lost. I'm not one of these like homers that like pretends that everything's screwed if we don't sign Pete Alonso. Don't get me wrong. I like Pete. I actually got to meet Pete's dad. Me and CP got to meet Pete Alonso's dad a couple years back. I want to say it was like maybe 2 or 3 years back at an event here in DC, in a DC Mets event. He's super cool guy, and he looks so much like Pete Alonso looks so much like his dad. It's not even funny. And Brandon Nimmo strikes out swinging. Yeah, I think Pete is awesome. I agree. Pete is a super cool guy. You know, he's a little bit of kind of a little meathead, right? He's not like somebody that you go in for leadership skills, but Pete does what you expect of somebody like Pete to do. And his dad's super cool, very, very humble guy. He hung out with all of us. And again, hopefully he doesn't mind that I call his son a little bit of a meathead. I mean, hopefully that's not too much of a diss to him. You know, he's a lovable meathead though, right? Pete is a guy that is, you know, a big dude, a guy that mashes home runs. He's a bruiser, right? And he's kind of a little bit of a teddy bear, right? Pete's even though he's polar bear, but he's kind of a teddy bear kind of guy. But he is what he is, right? He's not a leader. That's not what you pay him for. You pay him to hit home runs and say, hey, I hit home runs. And I'm going to try to hit more. That's what he does. That's like, you know, he is what he is. And I love to have him back on the team. Don't get me wrong. Just because I say we're going to be fine doesn't mean I don't want him. You know, I actually do want him back on this team. You know, he's a lovable meathead. Hug him like a teddy bear. Exactly. Yeah. Who wouldn't like a polar bear, right? You know, it's like you could do a lot worse than having a polar bear, to be honest. You know, I'm actually gonna go and put in the polar bear. Shout out to polar bears. I'll put it in there. That's my little polar bear salute for Pete for getting his second hit of the day. You know, we didn't score on that one, but he still got a hit. Pete's trying. I just remember that other day when we had the issue with that play at first base that Brazoban didn't cover, and then Pete was like, he was exacerbated, like he was like incredulous. He's like, I can't believe you did that. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a couple autographs on Saturday. Oh wow, yeah, man. I don't. It's been so long since I've actually waited outside for autographs. There's actually a great video. I actually have a great video of CP getting an autograph from Cal Ripken outside of Nats Park. I forget what I mean, I'm sure the Mets were in town. That's why we were there. But CP is like maybe 13, 14 years old. And he's there asking, he gets Cal Ripken to sign, Cal Ripken Jr., obviously not senior, Cal Ripken Jr. to sign his USA baseball cap. Really cool moment. And you can hear me in the background. I'm videoing, and you can like say thank you, Chris. Say thank you. And of course, CP does say thank you to Cal Ripken. You know, and the one thing about Cal Ripken is how tall, like how big that guy is. He's 6'4", and he looks every bit of that and then some when you see him in person. Jody says, my son is taking me, and we are sitting in section 11, right to the right of home plate. Wow, those are prime seats, right? Oh, there you go, Jody. You're moving up in the world, right? It's a far cry from the nosebleeds that you did as a kid, right? Goes to show you progress, right? We make a little bit of money, and then we could pay for a little bit better seats. You know, and that's worthwhile. Yeah. So I might be able to walk down there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, good on you. That's it. My son is paying. Hey, you know what? You raised a fine young man then, right? It goes to show you, right? CP bought me a couple beers and some pizza at the last game we attended. So I thought that was pretty cool, to actually get your son to pony up and buy you a beer and some pizza, CP just happens to make a lot more money than I do. But that's exactly why I'm happy to have that situation. Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah, hell yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. If you have a kid, you know that you always want him to do better than you did, right? That's the reason why you do what you do, is to give him all the opportunities. And CP's doing quite well. He's got a great thing going. So shout out to CP. Hopefully one day CP will invite me over on his channel to chop it up with him. But we'll see. I'm trying not to pressure him too much. But you guys can help me out in that respect. Just say, hey, CP, bring your dad on. Or maybe, like I said, like I mentioned, maybe CP, Rob and CP will get together and do a dad show, and then we'll get me and Rob's dad together. He seems like a cool guy. I've never met him, never met the man, but he seems like a cool guy. Yeah, exactly. We'll get the old guys, right? We'll have the old timers day over on CP's channel. I don't know if the world's prepared for that. I feel like knowing a little bit about Rob, maybe his dad's a lot more raunchy than I am, and he'll have some choice things to say. Yeah, the OGs, exactly, the original gangsters. Jody, you're having way too good of a time, but I love it. All right, well, we got Tatis up, Tatis Jr., 2 outs. Let's see if we can get another out here and get out of this inning and maybe come back to back. Yeah, Jody, you are rolling with the laughter. I love it. Like, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that you go and you watch CP and then later on you go in to tune in and watch his dad, right? I think that's pretty interesting. I don't think that's very common on YouTube. And I'm glad Alvy is okay. Yes, I am also. I mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. Alvy is probably going to need a bubble wrap uniform. He's going to need a bubble wrap uniform because, man, that guy cannot. He's like a magnet right now. Like, he can't not get hit. Like, please leave Alvy, not CP, but leave CP alone, but also leave Alvy alone. Stop hitting that guy. That guy's always like been so beat up for ages already, right? He's gonna have to get a tattoo that's instead of saying the best, he's gonna say the beat up. So this guy pitching for the Mets, I don't even know if I remember him. Hamill? Jody, do you remember who Hamill is? I don't think I've ever seen this guy. I know Cole Hamels from the Philly that pitched for the Phillies, but I don't know who Hamill is. We must have just brought him up, or maybe we just signed him. Or maybe I'm just getting old and I remember that the Mets got a guy named Hamill. Yeah, I don't either. Exactly. I don't know who the hell is this guy. I do know that I'm sick and tired of the Mets DFAing Hageman. I mentioned this on CP's pregame. I'm like, Hageman has done nothing to warrant being sent down so many times. All he's done is pitched well, So I'm like, it makes no sense that he's being sent down every single time. And just like that, Tatis singles on a sharp line drive to center field. There's 2 down, Arias is up, and man on first and second. So we got a little bit of a jam here. A little bit of a jammy. So yeah, this is and I don't know if you were here when I mentioned this, Jody, but I have a standing desk, so I decided, yeah, that does suck. Agreed. I got a standing desk, so I decided to erect re-erect my hat wall here. That way, even though like this is not a hat channel, I feel like these hats are part of my personality. So I'm gonna try to see if I can keep this hat thing going and have that, only because I have this like wall here that's really yellow and ugly. And these hats are a little bit prettier than the wall. All right, so Araya singles on a line drive to right field, and the Padres do score, but it looks like, it looks like there was an out to be made. So Luis Arias is out at second base on the throw, but that run that we got back from Soto is given right back, and the Padres are back up by 4 runs, 7-3, heading into the bottom of the 6th. So, what are you going to do? Padres are a good team. Yeah, we did get out of it. Like I said, Soto is sneaky good with his throws. So it looks like he fired a rifle over to Lindor and was able to get the out. But not before they score a run. So we'll have some more work to do to try to break this tie here. I mean, well, not break this tie, but cut into this lead. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, my brain doesn't always work as fast as my mouth. But yeah, that's this is not unexpected. If you kind of know what the Padres are about, I was at the did the run count? Yes, it did. Yep. Shit indeed. That's some shit balls. But like the Mets are playing competitively, meaning they're showing some fight. My hope is that we still got enough time to make this to cut into this lead, and maybe even come out with a win. Maybe an 8-7 win. That'd be kind of nice. Winning a little tight ball game here, and after kind of yesterday, we had a bunch of home runs. I'm down with that. I'd rather just win in a blowout, but wait a minute, they just took the run off. They took the run off. I don't. At least on my score thing, it's saying 6-3. Maybe the run didn't count. That would be great. That'd be a nice moral victory. Yeah, I'm looking at the play right now. That was a great throw by Soto. Now there's let's see if this is actually true. Right now, yeah, I thought that's what Keith said. Yeah, right now it's saying 6-3. So it looks like I was wrong. The umpire called the batter out at second. So he called Arias out at second base before the run scored. That's awesome. Hey, bonus. Love it. Hopefully that fires up the Mets. So we got Marte up. He is down 0-2. So right now this inning we got Marte, McNuggets, and Master Beatty up. Let's see if we can get Marte McFly. He hit a home run today. Marte has actually been overperforming from expectations so far this year. Yeah, here's the replay. Yeah, the replay showed pretty convincingly. Well, I don't know if the replay showed convincingly that, I didn't get the right angle to be able to tell whether the out was made before before the runner scored, but I will have to trust the umpires. Plus, it went the Mets' way, so I can't doubt it. I'm like, you know what? Any kind of close play should go to the home team, especially the home team wearing blue and orange. Just kind of one of the most personal rules that I have. So Marte quickly gets out and is the first out in the bottom of the 6th. And that'll bring up McNuggets. McNuggets is 0-2, but he had a big hit last night. Hopefully he has another big hit in him for today, because we need it. We need it right now. We're down 3 runs, but it could have been worse. Could have been 4 runs. 3 runs is not so scary. We can easily put up a 4 spot in any given inning with this kind of lineup. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it is. It is. It is one of those things where you're pretty much hoping that the pitching holds the score, right, and they can kind of eat into it slowly but surely. Yeah, let's go McNuggets. Exactly. 2-2. I do love when when McNuggets gets into these battles. You know, he's such a passionate player. I think that's one of the many reasons that people like McNeil, um, is that he wears his emotions on his sleeves. You know, like you know what he's going through. Like you, even though you know that he's not exactly like the calm, cool, collected type. Um, people appreciate seeing like some of that fire. I think that's the reason why people like Winker. Winker's like everybody's favorite douche. You want to have that kind of douche in your team. McNeil's kind of very similar. He's the guy that would drop the F bomb if he misses his pitch. All right, and McNeil grounds out. And just like that, there are 2 outs. Yeah, he really blew up the other day with that bad strikeout call. Yeah, but the thing is, it was completely like within character for McNeil, and got ejected. Yeah, I saw that play, and I'm like, well, that's just McNeil being McNeil. You know, there's no I don't know what exactly he said. My guess is that he just dropped the F bomb. In which case, I'm like, why did you throw him out for dropping the F bomb? Now, if he said, something about the umpire's mom, then that would be a different story. But I don't think he should have got ejected for that. Yeah, I agree. That's just McNeil being emotional and being himself. So if he just went and said, fuck, and did some kind of stuff like that, like, why would you throw him out for that? Like, he didn't like direct it at anybody. Again, I don't know what he said exactly, but knowing McNeil, like he usually just drops an F bomb, but it's just like an F bomb. It's not like saying, "Hey, F you," or maybe that's what he did. Maybe in that instance he did say F you, but I don't know. It didn't seem like he did. For me, he's just one of those guys that just like does the general Fs. Yeah, they all dropped the F bomb exactly. But McNeil, he did the twirl. When in that particular play, he just jumped around and did like a little pirouette, and then probably dropped the F bomb. But I'm like, I still don't think that's enough to eject him. Again, maybe he went and said F you, and then the umpire thought that he was saying F you which he might have been. But if he didn't say F you directly, I'm like, don't throw him out the game. That seems a little presumptuous. Again, I'm obviously biased, but I'm like, come on, ump. Like these guys are professionals, and especially like a guy like McNeil. McNeil is basically Happy Gilmore, right? If Happy Gilmore played baseball, he would be Jeff McNeil, right? He's a guy that's going to be cursing up a storm and being really raucous. Yeah, if he said F you, then maybe I can see the doing it. Agreed. But I think he said F, not F you. And he definitely did. I doubt that he said F you or F you blue or whatever the term would be. I grew up referring to the umpires as blue, but from what I understand is that the professional level, they do not refer to the umpire as blue. It's just not something that's done at the professional level. But whatever they refer to the ump as, maybe just ump. If he said that, say F you ump, or maybe he knew his name, right? These guys know the umpires, they'll know their name. They're like, F you so and so, then I can maybe understand that. But I just don't think that McNeil said that. Again, I could be wrong. Anyhow, 2 outs. We got Master Beatty up with the 1-2 count, and it looks like he struck out. So there you go. The Mets go quietly in the bottom of the 6th as they still trail 6-3. And just like that, the Padres will bring up Manny Machado, Sheets, and Laureano. What if he said, "Are you effing blind?" Maybe. I mean, I understand that. Like, that's a borderline. Like, for me, "Are you effing blind?" I don't know. I feel like that seems not not too over the top, right? Like, everybody knows, like, if you played anything competitive, you know that your competitive spirit sometimes get the best of you, and you're really not trying to take it out on the ump. You're like more mad at yourself, and that's the perception that I always get from McNeil, is that he's almost always more mad at himself than he is that the umpire. So, like, for the umpire to kind of like, and this is the thing that we're noticing, like, some of these umpires are really young, and I feel like they're really green. And in order to like make a statement, they have kind of like a hair trigger. Um, and maybe that's what happened. Is I don't know. Who knows? Without being on the field and seeing everything and hearing everything that's going on, I couldn't tell you for sure. But knowing McNeil and seeing all the data points that I've seen of McNeil, he just doesn't seem to be the guy that directs things at the ump per se. He's more mad at himself, you know? That's how I read it. So it looks like we are still down 3 runs. We got a pretty good set of Padres coming up here. Hopefully we can still hold them. Peterson is officially out the game. Yeah, it looks like we got our work cut out for us. Hopefully we make it happen. I don't know. It's it's gonna take a little bit to overcome this right now. The great thing is that Mets are getting a really good preview of what playoff baseball is going to be like. Yeah, I played little girls softball my junior year in high school. Yeah. Softball is no joke either. Like I said, when CP used to play baseball, they would have softball games going on right next to the baseball field, and those girls brought it. I had no idea how representative those games were of the overall competition, but for me, those girls were winging that ball in pretty quickly. So it's no joke. Even again, this was just at the high school level. Yeah, let's go effing Mets. Yeah, let's do this. We got a mound visit. We got Manny Machado just grounded, singled on a ground ball. Looks like it was either to Lindor or past Lindor. Manny Machado is having a great game so far. That's his 3rd hit of the game. So Manny Machado has been a problem for the Mets today. And we have a pitching change. So Dom Hamill, who I had no idea was on this team, and I'm still wondering why he's here as opposed to Hagenman. But now we got Greg Soto coming in to replace him. And we'll see if Greg Soto maybe can induce a ground ball double play. And we can erase those base runners or that base runner. Yeah, I wasn't that good at batting, so I didn't play much. Yeah, understood. Like I said, it's team-based stuff. CP was a really great athlete, still is, but when he was in high school and up until high school, he was pretty outstanding, and by his senior year, he was the captain of the team, and had a pretty damn good year. Got a chance to play at the collegiate level, but it didn't work out for him. He kind of got a little bit burned out on baseball, and he called it quits. But you know what? What are you gonna do? Yep, another dumb pitching move. Yeah, what are you gonna do, right? It's like this is kind of a chess game, and sometimes we don't always win at this game. My hope is that ultimately Soto comes in and is able to like prove me wrong and get that ground ball. The Mets need more ground ball pitchers. I got to be honest. We need more David Peterson type pitchers from the bullpen. Like Tyler Rogers is the only guy that is kind of a ground ball pitcher. Yeah, Lindor totally flubbed that ball from Machado. He should have had that. Yeah, Lindor's obviously not playing the type of shortstop that we're used to seeing from him. He's making a little bit more mistakes, and I'm sure the toe is part of that. I'm sure age is also part of that. He's still a fantastic defender. Don't get me wrong. It's just that he's a little bit behind what we're used to seeing from him. But that's okay. It's not like he's a liability. Yeah, we need to hold them and then score some runs. I agree. If you're just joining us, the Mets are down 6-3, primarily due to a grand slam by Manny Machado. We did have a couple home runs from the Mets side. We had Pete Alonso hit a solo shot to tie the game in the first inning. We also had a solo home run by Juan Soto or Juan Godo, depending on how you prefer to refer to him. But the Padres struck, and they struck the hardest with the grand slam by Manny Machado in the top of the fifth inning to put the Padres up big, at the time. So we'll see. We still have enough game to be able to come back, but we got to hold them and we got to score some runs. Yeah, he is, but he's not his usual. It's not his usual stuff. Yeah, agreed. And Gavin Sheets strikes out swinging, so 1 down. So far, pretty good start from Soto, from Greg Soto, G Soto. Jody, I just thought about the other day, or was it last night? You were mentioning the Jaeger bombs. That kind of brought back memories. What did you think of his braids yesterday? I thought it looked sharp. I think he looked good in the braids, to be honest. Like I watch a lot of MMA, and braids are kind of like a staple for a lot of the fighters. When they have long hair, they will braid their hair because they don't want it interfering in like when there's a grappling exchange. So for me, I'm already used to seeing the braids on like my favorite athletes. So I think it looks sharp, to be honest. I also think it's also a lot of work. Yeah, my TV is ahead of you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think your TV is going to be ahead of most of the options here. I'm pretty sure it's basically your TV, then maybe MLB.com, which is what I'm kind of showing on screen, and then my stream that I'm watching here on my left side here. So, and that's okay. It's okay. I mean, I think you're the only one that's on here, Jody, besides me. So you can play spoiler. That's okay. Me too. Yeah. So Laureano singles on a line drive to left field. And just like that, the Padres have 2 men on with only 1 out. And Jackson Merrill up to plate. Damn, another hit. Yeah. Yeah, the Padres are good, man. Like I said, I mentioned last year I was in San Diego for TwitchCon. And San Diego, man, they're really behind their team. Like so many San Diego Padre hats in San Diego. It was kind of nice to see as just a baseball fan to see how a city backs up their team like that. It just seemed like I don't know. I guess I didn't expect it. It's been a long time since I've been to San Diego, and I don't remember them being behind their team as much as they are now. And it makes sense because they're a winning team now, right? They're actually a perennial playoff contender now, right? They may not be as good as the Dodgers, but they're certainly good enough to beat the Dodgers on any given day. They just happen to be, play second fiddle to the Dodgers. Doesn't mean there are any slouches, far from it. Yeah, strike 3. Yep. Jackson Merrill strikes out, 2 down, and that'll bring up Candelita. I mentioned this before, but Candelita is one of those players that still gets a lot of love from the Mets fans, Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about it, Jody. You're not going to get any problem, no worries from me. Like I said, I think you're the only one on the stream right now besides me. So spoiler alerts are fine. Let's see here. So Iglesias is only batting 225. He's not having a great season so far. Would have been nice to have signed him in hindsight. When the Mets didn't sign Candelita, I thought that it was a mistake. And no, sorry, quite the opposite. I thought it was the right move not to sign him, given who we signed instead. But now, knowing about a lot of the chemistry that we lacked, I feel like maybe we should have we should have gotten Iglesias. Just messing with me. That's okay. That's okay. You're okay, Jody. It is 2-0 to Iglesias. Hopefully, we are able to, attack him. We don't want to put Iglesias on. He's been struggling with the bat. We don't want to give him a free base. Usually, Iglesias is not a home run threat, so I feel like you just got to challenge him right now. Make him beat you. And Iglesias is not like super speedy either. He just hustles, Yeah, that sippy cup sounds like it should be filled, right? Guess what happened? You see red sippy cup, right? You see that? Black sippy cup. You see, that's like magic. Just like that, I has more drink. Shout out to Jody for recognizing the sippy cup sounds. I guess that's a good nod to my mic, my little wireless mic that I have, right here, that is able to pick up the sippy cup sound. And Machado steals third base. It was a double steal. So, the Padres are being aggressive on the base pads. All right, but there's 2 outs. We just got to worry about the batter right now. And it's a full count to Iglesias. Yeah, I try to be, I try to think a little bit ahead, It doesn't always work, My brain, sometimes my brain fails me. But I think by now, in these close to 50 years that I've had here on Earth, I've learned that, try to have a drink ready. And Iglesias walks, so bases loaded. Bases loaded, and we got Cronenworth. Or who is that? Cronenworth? I don't know. Whatever that guy's name is, Cronenworth. Mr. Bigglesworth. Yeah, walks suck. That's the Mets' Achilles heel on the pitching side. We walk way too many batters. That's the big difference between now and the beginning of the season when we were at like 25 games above 500 at one point, is that we used to walk guys, but we used to always get a double play ball and get out of the inning. We just haven't been able to do that lately. Well, Soto gets ahead of Cronenworth 0-2. Let's see if we can make him chase, get out of this inning. All right, the ball's in play, and there's an out. So it looks like we do get out of the inning. Cronenworth grounds out, and that'll end the frame for the Padres. But they're still leading 6-3, heading into the bottom of the 7th. And we will send up Alvey, Mullins, in the top of the order with Lindor as we trail 6-3. Yeah. I try to be right when I can, but it doesn't always happen. But yeah, we got our work cut out for us. I think we need to start working the counts here and start trying to get guys on base, even if it's not with a hit, Let's see here. Doing this as I'm checking my social media. Trying to multitask here, so bear with me. Yeah, few is right. Yeah, that was close, you know. That's kind of like I said, some heart attack baseball. But luckily we pulled that one out. We still have a hole to dig out of here. Yeah, we need some offense bad. Hopefully Alvy has a base hit or a walk in him. And then Mullins can do something and use his speed. Let's see if we can get first and second, and that way we got Lindor up. We get the top of the lineup up with guys in scoring position. Pitching replacement by the Padres. We got Jeremiah Estrada replacing Adrian Morejon. I mean, I don't want Alvy to get hit anymore, but if he did, hopefully he gets hit in the rump, not the hand. Like right now, I'm like, if Alvy doesn't get hit in the rump, then you're like ready to clear the benches at this point. Although I doubt that happened. The Mets and Padres seem to be very friendly with each other. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe because they're not in the same division. I don't know why. But they are very friendly with each other. Like Soto and Tatis seem to be very chummy. Lindor and Machado, very chummy. Yeah, Alvy swings at a little too much. Yeah, that's always been his Achilles heel. Alvy tries to hit like a bomb. That's always been the usual Alvy. He's been doing better lately with going to the opposite field. But we all remember the Alvy at the beginning of the season that was always swinging out of his socks. Got my eyes burning up a little bit here. I'm trying to do a little eye rub, even though that's not supposed to be really helpful or a good idea. So 1-0 to Alvarez. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Did Alvarez just hit a home run? Alvarez might have hit a home run. Let's see here. I think he hit a home run. Yeah, it sounds like he hit a home run. Let's see. Once we get the replay up, I will post it. But it looks like Alvarez hit a home run. Let's see where he hit it to. It was an 89-mile-per-hour slider. Alvarez hits a ground rule double, not a home run. So it's not a home run. It is a ground rule double. At least according to what MLB.com is telling me right now. We'll find out shortly. Yeah, I would challenge it. Why not, right? Unless there's definitive evidence from the review board, the review room. I'm sure Mendy's checking on that right now. Either way, it's a good way to start the inning. And he hit the ball to right field, right? There's Apple Alvey again. Apple Alvey is the best Alvey. Just like Apple Pete is the best Pete. So regardless of what happens with the with challenges, Alvey's on second base at least. That's a good start to the inning. So far, there hasn't been a follow-up pitch. My guess is that they might be challenging it. And if it is, hopefully it's a home run. Well, yeah, I would watch the replay, except that, well, let me see. I'm watching the live game in delay right now. Was it already called a home run for sure? Because right now, MLB.com is still saying ground rule double. But again, that could just be delayed. I'm watching the Alvey at bat right now. It's a 1-0 count on my delayed stream. Oh yeah, that's a great poke. I don't know. That looks like a home run to me. It hit the top of the wall and bounced. I think that's a home run. Nice. All right. Now I'm going to wait for the official MLB.com here to call this a home run, but it looked like a home run on the replay to me. MLB.com did call it. Hey, there you go. Umpire reviewed the home run. Call on the field was overturned. Francisco Alvarez hits a home run, number 9, on a fly ball to right center field. Why do I think I thought Alvarez already had 9. Let's see here. I guess he didn't have 9. I don't know why I thought Alvarez already had 9. So I thought that was his 10th home run. But either way, pretty good comeback for Alvarez. And we cut down the lead from 6-3 to 6-4. Yeah, right on the crack of the foam. Yeah, well placed. The important thing is that Alvy hit it to the opposite field. Again, he's strong enough that he can put that ball out of the ballpark. It's like that's the thing I would talk to him. Very similar to Pete. Like, you guys are both strong enough to hit the ball out the ballpark by going oppo. So why not keep doing that? Yeah, that was definitely a home run. Well done by the umpires to make the right call. I don't know. Sometimes I wish they would change Citi Field a little bit to make sure that there weren't so many reviews. I feel like it's a little unfair to the umpires. And just like that, Cedric Mullins walks. So we have a base runner with nobody out, and he's got some speed. So far, it's a pretty good start to the inning. So if you're just tuning in, you got the bottom of the 7th. The Mets were trailing 6-3, but Francisco Alvarez hits a solo home run to right field and cuts the deficit to 6-4. And you got a nice little picture there with Jose. We got Siri, Marte, and Alvarez posing for the home run shot. And Mullins gets a walk. So that'll bring up the top of the order with Lindor. With nobody out, let's see if we can keep this train moving. The Mets have the potential to start something really good going here. They already had a good start. Lindor, if Lindor can get on base, we're in good shape. Hey, what's going on, Rhoda? Thanks for dropping by. Hopefully, we're witnessing a nice little comeback here from the Mets. And Lindor takes a cold strike, 0-1. That was a great poke by Alvy. Yeah, my girl. Sing along. Yeah, my girl, my girl, my girl. Talking about my girl, my girl. 4 home runs, still losing. Yeah, that's the breaks. That's what happens when you give up a grand slam. Grand slams will do that to you. But we got nobody out so far. Lindor's worked the 1-1 count. Let's see if we can get Lindor on here and get something really good going here, just to keep this train moving. If we're able to score another run, I feel a lot better about this game. Looks like the Padres already got somebody warming up in the bullpen. And Lindor pops out to second base. 1 down. So not a productive out by Lindor. But that'll bring up Juan Goto. Mason Miller warming up, yeah. And it looks like there was another mound visit there. It looks like they're going to either change the pitcher or, yep, they're bringing in Mason Miller. So Jeremiah Estrada is out of the game. The Padres will bring in Mason Miller to try to face Juan Goto. All right. The anybody seen the John Cena doing the "Let's Go Mets" chants? I had no idea that John Cena was even a Mets fan, to be honest. It's nice to see. I don't dislike John Cena. I think he's a cool guy. But that whole interlude of John Cena rousing Mets fans into "Let's Go Mets" is pretty interesting. Just makes me wonder if he actually is a legitimate Mets fan. I didn't know that. I know Tim Robbins, Jerry Seinfeld, Billy Joel. Those guys are legitimate Mets fans, celebrity Mets fans. I didn't know about John Cena. I'm assuming he is. I just don't know why he would be at Citi Field chanting "Let's Go Mets" if he wasn't a Mets fan. I mean, I guess we could technically pay somebody to do that, but oh well. We'll see. One day we'll find out. Yeah, John Cena might be a Mets fan, but I doubt it. He probably got paid. Yeah. Well, we do know that Juan Soto did the John Cena, like at some point he was doing this, which is a John Cena move. If you watch professional wrestling, you'll know that whole "you can't see me" sign is something that John Cena made. Kind of made one of his call signs. So yeah. Anyhow, guys, thanks for rocking with me tonight. I did not plan to live stream. If I had planned it, I would have told CP to advertise it. But I didn't. I mentioned it during the chat. I said, I might go live, and then I decided like late last minute to just do it. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I got my my sippy cup full of happy juice. And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's got happy juice in it. I have my my crackers, right, from Aldi. And then I got my cheese, also from Aldi. So shout out to Aldi. I'm not paid by Aldi. I just happen to shop at Aldi because they got great prices. So, check out Aldi. One day I have to get sponsored by Aldi at this point. I mean, I basically every single time when I go live on my hat channel for my fedoras, I go live at least twice a week on that channel, and I'm usually always drinking like some drink from Aldi. So I usually do that. Google says Cena is actually a Mets fan. Wow. Well done, Jody, for researching that for us. John Cena, who would have thought? That's actually great. I welcome John Cena, to the Mets fold. Not that, I need to welcome him, he's a Mets fan. It is what it is. Who knows? He might have been a Mets fan since he was a child. But you kind of relish those celebrity Mets fans, right? I talked about Tim Robbins, Jerry Seinfeld, and who else did I mention just now? Billy Joel. Those are all like, all my set with my cheese and crackers. Yeah. You gotta surround yourself with things that make you happy. That's why I got my hats here on the wall. I got my my crackers, I got my cheese, I got my happy juice, right? This is if you guys don't know, if you guys don't shop at Aldi, they have wine that's called Winking Owl, and if you guys already know me, you know what I call it, right? I call it Wanking Owl. I call it Wanking Owl. But the real name is Winking Owl. But I have to add my flair to it. So shout out to Aldi and Wanking Owl. Oh God. It's cheap, but it's actually pretty good for cheap wine. Yeah, wait wait till you see the next play. All right. Yikes. I don't know what I'm in for here. All right. It looks like Mullen swiped second. That's good. And let's see what happens next. That's right, Jody. My happy place. Exactly. This is my little man cave, and I'm surrounded by all the things that make me happy. Um, all right, we got 3 people on this live. That's awesome. I'm thinking people are getting a little psyched by how what kind of rally we got here. So Rhoda says ChatGPT said John Cena grew up in Boston Red Sox fans. Over time, he said he's drifted away from supporting them and now prefers the Tampa Bay Rays. Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what. Again, ChatGPT is not known for being 100% accurate, but I have no reason to doubt what it's saying right now. So yeah, until I find out otherwise, I'm gonna believe that John Cena is not really a Mets fan. You know, it is what it is. Juan Soto called out on strikes. All right, that'll bring up Pete. Pete's already got a couple hits in the day, including a home run to tie the game in the first inning in the bottom of the first. Wow, that's terrible. Now I remember. Now I see what you mentioned, Jody. That foul call. Juan Soto just missed a 2-run bomb that would have tied the game. Jeez, what a that's messed up. Rhoda, you're a better researcher. My bad. Hey, that's okay. Don't apologize, Jody. It's fine. Like I said, in the world of the internet, you know, it's really easy to be led astray. So, you know, that's why I like on my other channel, I will post things about hats that I learned from ChatGPT, but I always preface it by saying, "Hey guys, I got this information from ChatGPT. Please don't like treat it as like gospel. Like do your own research and verify, right? Trust but verify." So, yeah, Juan just missed another home run. Yeah, that was close. That was about as close as you could get and not be a home run. I still don't know. Like that literally was by a hair, not a home run. That's criminal. That's criminal. That's so bad I'm gonna have to like drown my sorrows in this cracker. Juan, I'm sorry, Pete Alonso strikes out. Ah, whack. Well, the Mets just missed out on tying the game on that Juan Soto ball that just barely missed the foul pole. But they do get one back on a home run by Alvey, and they cut the deficit to 6-4 as the Padres come up to bat in the top of the 8th. Yeah, them's the breaks. Them's the breaks. What are you gonna do, right? You're making me hungry. Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to get sponsored by Aldi. Aldi, if you ever watch my videos, sponsor me. You know, I'm making people hungry and maybe wanting to have some cheese and crackers, and hopefully making you thirsty for Wanking Owl. Shout out to Wanking Owl, the beverage of the crazy generation. They're like, Luke, you had us until you said the crazy generation. Like, just like that, I ruined my endorsement before it even happened. Sorry, Aldi. But truth be told, Wanking Owl is pretty good. Yeah. Another good wine, if you like white wine, specifically Pinot Grigio, if you have a Total Wine in front near you, you can get a Pinot Grigio called Tiny Umbrellas. Tiny Umbrellas is about $6, and it's really good. It's probably about the best wine you could buy at that price, like Pinot Grigio. I just happen to like Pinot Grigio because it's not sweet. I don't really like the Moscatos and like the sweeter wines, Chardonnays and things like that. I'm a big Pinot Grigio fan, and Tiny Umbrellas, right? It's good. I usually go for a Wanking Owl, Pinot Grigio, or the red blend at Aldi, only because we shop at Aldi, and it's just a lot easier to get that stuff and pick it up at one shot as opposed to doing a dedicated trip to Total Wine. But when we bring wine over to like family, we will go to Total Wine and pick up, bottles of Tiny Umbrellas because it's not expensive, but it's also just really good. That was a Total Wine. If you go to a Total Wine, usually you're gonna get really helpful staff. They're like Home Depot, like the staff at Home Depot, and they really give you good recommendations, at least in my experience. Anyway, we got Helsley in the game. Helsley, man, he's due for a good game. Helsley has been getting lambasted by Mets fans left and right. And again, I might be a homer for Helsley. I just think that Helsley is going to be one of those guys that steps up for us. Hopefully I'm correct. But I just feel like his stuff is too good to be down for too long. But we'll see. Like I said, they've been tearing him up. Yeah, tasty is what Jody says. Yeah. Rhoda says, I don't drink, but when I do, I like Budweiser. It's cheap. Yeah. I'm a big fan of cheap. Like I said, I got a hat addiction, and these hats are not cheap. I get them for good deals, but they're not cheap hats. Like I got this hat for a really good deal. This is what I call my Carmen Sandiego hat. Right? If you guys know Carmen Sandiego, you know that she wears this like really red hat. So I call this my Carmen Sandiego hat, and I bought this used for a good deal from a friend of mine. But this hat, if you were to buy it brand new, would probably be like $400-$500. This is made by a hatter in Nevada called Dave Johnson, and he runs a hat shop called D Bar J. This is a D Bar J fedora. And if you look at some of the prices of D Bar J's, you'll see how much these things cost. They're not inexpensive. So I'll put that right back, and hopefully it'll stay there. So it says, we don't have Total Wine here where I live in Northeast PA. Hey, shout out to Northeast PA. Are you in the Lehigh Valley area, Jody? Yeah, Rhoda says 30 cans of Budweiser. I paid $15. Yeah, that's a deal, man. You can't afford not to buy that for $15. That's like Rhoda's like when you need to get your drunk on the cheap. I feel you, man. Yeah, that's a nice hat. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, it's a loud hat. It's not a hat that I wear every single day, but I like having it. And you can see it's a centerpiece here on this wall. I got like 28 hats like littered against my wall here. This is like my home office. And then I got hat pictures, right? I got right here, I got the Rat Pack to my right. Right in front of me, I got Michael Corleone in his Hamburg hat. And to the left, because he's a southpaw, I got Rocky Balboa from Rocky 2 here on the left. So shout out to all those guys. The Rat Pack photo is from a movie called Robin and the Seven Hoods. It's a 1950s movie. It has Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr. In it, and it just has some great hats. So I found that photo in a thrift shop, and I had to buy it. So I have it hanging up here. Jody says, yes, I'm about an hour north of Philly. All right, sounds good. Shout out to PA. I almost moved to PA. I was going to move to the Lehigh Valley area, somewhere either in Easton or Bethlehem or Allentown, somewhere around there because, the housing's a lot cheaper there than it is here in the, DC metro area. But it didn't happen, and we ended up finding a great place here for not a whole lot of money. So we stayed. So just like that, we got one out. Fernando Tatis walked. So Fernando Tatis has been an on-base machine for the Padres so far. Him and Machado have been leading the offense. So we'll see if Helsley is able to work around the walk to Tatis, maybe get a double play ball. Yeah, but I also like Philly. I'm a big fan of Philly as well, even though I don't like, I love thrift shops. Yeah, agreed. So many good stuff. I mean, I recommend, I know a lot of people don't like shopping at thrift shops because they feel like that, oh, this is used stuff. Trust me, if you go shopping at thrift shops, there's so much new. Like you even find things that for a fact is brand new because it still has covering on it. So I always tell people don't be afraid to go to a thrift shop. So and I'm like I said, if you're that worried about it, then don't go. But I'll go. And I find some good deals. Hey, Tatis was picked off. Well done, Helsley. So Helsley. Looks like Helsley went and caught Tatis too far and was able to get Tatis picked off. And just like that, we got 2 outs, nobody on, and Araya's up. Yeah, I'm with you, Jody. Thrift shops, and on top of the already great prices that thrift shops have, some thrift shops will have a discount day. And if you go on discount day, you could get even an extra discount off of something that's already pretty cheap. I get a lot of great shirts that way. Every once in a while, I also get a great hat that way. So, yeah, Jody said, I know. Just preaching to the choir. Jody says, I live in a small town called Catasagua. Yeah, it's an old Indian town. I know Catasagua. I know where it's at. That's basically just north of the Lehigh Valley Airport. Hopefully that's correct. I think that's right. If I know my geography, Catasagua is just north of the Lehigh Valley Airport. I've done a lot of research into the area. Like I said, I was planning to move into that area. It just didn't happen to work out. It wasn't in the cards. But yeah, so I got really familiar with the what's called the Lehigh Valley area. We call it Abe, right? Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. They're basically the towns in Pennsylvania that essentially the part of Pennsylvania if you're going from New York, you get to Jersey and then you cross into PA. That's pretty much the towns that you hit. You're going to hit Easton first, then Bethlehem, and then Allentown. And just north of Allentown, and just north of the Lehigh Valley Airport, you got Catasauqua. At least in my mind. Hopefully, Jody, you can let me know if I'm wrong. Hey, I even pronounced it right. Catasauqua. Yeah, it definitely is an old Native American name. I didn't know that, but I kind of knew it from the name because New Jersey has a lot of those Indian names as well. You're correct. We hear all the planes. Yeah. We have a place here called Chantilly, out over here in the Northern Virginia area. And they also are right near the Dulles Airport, and you hear all the planes. I don't live in Chantilly, but I used to. That's actually where Chris grew up. He grew up in the Chantilly area, and basically he played baseball in the area, and we used to hear planes all the time. Well, it looks like Arias got flew out to right field. We got the 3 outs. We got out of the inning with no runs. Right, Helsley did his job. Now we got Nimrod. We got Marte McFly and McNuggets up in the bottom of the 8th. So we got 6 outs to try to make this happen. And we'll see if it happens. Yeah, Jody, I was really impressed with like a lot of the just like what that area, the Lehigh Valley area, had to offer when I was researching it. Shout out to the Lehigh Valley area, especially Bethlehem. Bethlehem just seemed like a very beautiful area. You know, a lot of old architecture. Obviously, downtown Bethlehem was really beautiful to look at. You know, it didn't work out, at least now, but doesn't mean that in the future I won't be out in the Lehigh Valley area. Dude retired, no runs. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Helsley. Everybody was you said okay, you said dude retired, you meant side retired. Yeah, no problem. I got what you meant. Yeah, Helsley is he did a job. Can't complain, can't say anything about Helsley so far. Tonight he's been money. And with that said, I'm gonna go off screen real quick. I'm gonna unmute my mic. I'm gonna go use the restroom because you know the happy juice. Pardon me. All right, just like that, I am back. And it looks like it's a 1-2 count to Nimrod. Yeah, thanks for thanks for thinking that's comical, Jody. Middle-aged guy. You know how the restroom be. But yeah, Nimmo flies out to right field, and just like that, 1 down. Like I said, you can't drink Wanking Owl and not pay the piper. So, Winking Owl, that bathroom break was for you, or because of you. That's how they should do, like commercial breaks in the games. They, hey, I got to do a potty break. Like, this is Keith Hernandez. This potty break was brought to you by such and such beer. If Peterson didn't give up the grand slam, we'd be good. Agreed. Yeah, the coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah, Peterson made that mistake, and you saw it on his face. He made a mistake. That's kind of how baseball goes. That's how good the Padres are. Yeah, same with women. Yeah, it's one of the, like, life's cruel pranks. When you get older. When I was younger, I could probably like drink a bunch of I could go out the whole night, drink a bunch of beer, and never had to go to the restroom. Now I have like half a sippy cup of wine, and I got to be on a bathroom break every few minutes. Cruel ironies. Oh, Mother Nature. All right. Well, Marte grounds out to first base, or just like that, it's 2 down. And then we got McNuggets up with 2 outs. Let's see if McNuggets can get a 2-out rally going here. It's just funny. Time flies. I've already been like my live stream has been going on. We got 5 more minutes and it'll be up to 3 hours. And McNeil pops out to third base. And the Mets are down to their last 3 outs. But not before the Padres got one more time at bat. They will put up Manny Machado, Sheets, Gavin Sheets, and Laureano up in the top of the 9th. Jody says, I hope I don't have to take potty breaks during Saturday's game. Yeah. The nice thing is during the game, like I said, if your son stays behind and is like watching the seats and maybe he's in charge of like getting other stuff, you can easily do that during between innings. You know, maybe you can go do your potty break when the opposition comes up, right? That's always what I do. You know, if the Mets finish their at bat, I'll try to wait till the Mets finish their at bat, and then when the opposing team goes up to bat, I will go and do the potty break. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the preferred way to do it. That way, just in case the other team hits a home run, well, you weren't there to see it, right? You'll know, like if you're in the bathroom and you hear a lot of screaming, if the other team's at bat, you know that something bad happened for your team. You know, I've been there. Trust me, that's it's never a good feeling. But you're like, all right, at least I didn't see it. If I didn't see it, maybe it didn't happen. You know, these are little things that we tell ourselves to kind of make ourselves feel better. But you know, we know what happened. We know what happened, what we didn't see, and it still stings because you see the scoreboard when you come back. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, you know, little pro tip. That's what you're gonna get here is a lot of drunken pro tips. You're gonna get hats and CP's dad, you know, having a fine drink while the Mets are down and telling you how to watch a baseball game. I have no idea if anybody needs to see that, but here I am. It looks like I got a little piece of cheese left, so let me just get in the cracker here while I'm at it. All right. Yeah, I've never been in that section, but yeah, that sounds like you're gonna have all the amenities for you. Who knows if you get the really good seats, Jody, they'll probably like carry you to the bathroom. That's true service. Yeah, too bad Ray isn't here. Yeah, Ray would have a field day. Shout out to Ray. If Ray needs to see this, he can always watch it after we finish going live, and he can see some of the hilarity that's happened during this live stream. That's the nice thing about YouTube is when you go live, you do have the I like to call it going in syndication. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, understood. Well, we got a pitching change for the Mets. We got Fat Thor in for Ryan Helsley, and Fat Thor has actually have had a couple good a couple good outings in a row, I believe. I know the last outing he had a really good one inning with a shutout ball, which I know sounds like nothing, but he actually is. It was really big for us. Yeah, I'll be pampered there. Love my son. Hey, good job. Good, you raised a great boy. You know, if you raise them right like that, they will reciprocate, right? They will show you why you did the right job. So shout out to Jody's son. You know, and shout out to Jody for raising a great son. No easy feat nowadays. All right, unfortunately, Ramon Laureano's homers on a line drive to left field. So it looks like Fat Thor strikes again. Yeah, just when we were giving him praise, Fat Thor gives up a home run. You know, serves us right for praising Fat Thor. Looks like the Padres dropped the hammer on Fat Thor today, which is usually what we're used to seeing. We just thought that, well, maybe that he turned the page. But no. No, he did not. At least not tonight. Sucks because it was a pretty good out that we got for Machado. Spoke too soon. Yep, famous last words. Well, what are you going to do? Get the next out, and hopefully we can put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 9th. Yeah, it's been a good game, to be honest. I got to agree with Rhoda here. It's been a good game, even though we haven't really been we haven't been ahead. But, you know, you guys, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've mentioned this before. I'm just wanting to see a quality baseball game. And this has been a quality baseball game, right? There have not been a whole lot of mistakes other than the pitches that are made that the other team has hit out the ballpark. So it's been a pretty clean game. Assuming we don't see any more ridiculousness from now on, right? So Fat Thor could give up 3 straight home runs, and then it's no longer a great game. We will see. Get out this inning, and see if the Mets can put something together in the next inning. That's all we can hope for. Yeah, at least a 3 spot to tie. Agreed. Although I really would want a 4 spot only because I don't trust the Mets in extra innings. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I see that we go to extra innings, I'm almost I get very pessimistic. Although the last time we went to extra innings was Pete Alonso's walk-off home run, wasn't it? That was a good option. That was a good outcome. Well, looks like Jackson Merrill singles on a ground ball to right field, and the inning continues. Fat Thor needs to find an out here somewhere. Yeah, why do they call him Fat Thor? I think basically because remember Noah Syndergaard was Thor. So the idea is that obviously Stanek is a lot bigger, girth-wise, than Syndergaard. But if you watch comic books, apparently this is what I was told. In the comic books, there was a situation with Thor, the character, right? He was a Marvel character, and there was a Fat Thor, meaning there was a version of Thor, kind of like with all the versions of the Hulk, right? There was Red Hulk, Old Hulk. I forget all the other Hulks that existed, but apparently in the comic books there was a Fat Thor that existed, and I guess that's why they started calling Stanek Fat Thor. It's just a nod to the Thor from the comic books, who was also fat. All right, so Candelita grounds out to Lindor, and that'll end the inning, but not before the Padres get a run on a home run. I believe that was Jackson Merrill that hit that home run, and it increases the Padres' lead to 7-4, and the Mets will come up in the bottom of the 9th, down to the last 3 outs. And hopefully they got a comeback in their pocket. Anyway, Jody, that's why they call Stanek Fat Thor. Yeah, I have the Noah Syndergaard bobblehead. Was at that game. Yeah, Syndergaard was a beast. You know, I think before the injury, Syndergaard was an absolute beast. I remember when he dominated with the Mets. It was great. It was a lot of fun, especially 2015 when we made it to the World Series. Yeah, Ramon Laureano hit the solo home run. Okay, Laureano, not Jackson Merrill. Thank you. Appreciate it, Rhoda. And we have a pitching change. We got Robert Suarez replacing Mason Miller on the mound for the Padres. And the Mets will try to get it going. We got Master Beatty up to lead off the bottom of the ninth. Let's see if he can get on base and we can get something going here. Let's go Mets. 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 Yeah, that doesn't sound as good as the stadium, but you know what? We're very low fire on here. Plus, that was the wanking owl talking. Boop, 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 boop. Let's see if we got a comeback in our back pocket here. At this point, I'm hoping for like a leadoff single, a leadoff walk, and then just get the train, crowd the bases. That's what I want to see. I want to see the bases really crowded and then somebody come up with a big hit after that. Maybe a bases loaded triple. That would be a good way to kind of tie the game, Hopefully I can speak it into existence. We got Beatty up 1-0 right now. Yeah, I like Syndergaard and DeGrom. Yeah, that was a great combo, wasn't it? Then you had Zach Wheeler. Remember that? We had Syndergaard, DeGrom, and Wheeler. Man, to think what kind of pitching staff we had. No wonder we went to the World Series. It was actually surprising we didn't win the World Series when that kind of like firepower. Obviously, Wheeler went on to Philadelphia and had a pretty good stint with Philadelphia, but before that he was with the Mets and he was really good. All right, the count is evened up at 1-1, and then Beatty takes a timeout. And Beatty takes a cold strike. It is 1-2. Beatty in the hole now. Let's see if he can battle back and work his way on base. Yeah, another guy was Cespedes, right? Part of that offense. Cespedes was fun during that season. He was really fun to watch, especially with that bright green forearm band that he would wear. Just like fluorescent green. I just remember that. And that guy would just hit some bombs. That's a guy that had a lot of swagger. Shout out to Cespedes. We missed that guy. One of those acquisitions for the Mets that worked out really well for us. All right, looks like Beatty's 2-2. I don't know if what you're saying means that he got out, but we'll see. We'll find out shortly. Hopefully he did not. Right now, I got 2-2 on Beatty. I'm going to reiterate. Come on, Beatty. I don't care how you get on. Reach on an error, walk, get a hit. Either way, we need you on base. Hey, wait a minute. In play, no out. I think he got a single. I think Beatty got a leadoff single. Beatty singles on a ground ball to left field. Deflected by the shortstop. Well done. Shout out to Master Beatty. That is his third hit of the evening. Master Beatty's now batting .259 according to my eyesight here, from what I can see. That's pretty good considering how bad he started. Yeah, nope, it's all good. All right, that'll bring up Alvy. Alvy is already homered tonight. Let's see if we can get one more. That'd be nice. Although it wouldn't be enough, right? A 2-run home run is not going to get us a win right now. Maybe a nice double, right? Nice double. We get second and third, or maybe just second, man on second, and then Beatty scores. See if I can speak it into existence here. Yeah, they need to get him home. Agreed. We need to get that run across the plate somehow, some way. Now, Beatty's not somebody that is opposed to stealing a bag. I just don't know if they're going to send Beatty. That they might not risk it at this juncture with nobody out. And Alvarez grounds out to the pitcher, who throws it to first, and Beatty ends up going. So it was actually a little bit of a productive out, but it might be too little, too late here. That we really needed a base hit, but that's better than getting a double play. I see the rally caps out. I see the rally caps out. We had an offensive substitution. We got Mark Vientos pinch hitting for Cedric Mullins. And at that same time, we got a mound visit happening for San Diego. So a little bit of a chess match happening here. We'll see who ends up coming up winning here. Let's see if Swaggy B can switch places with Master Beatty here. Let's go, Mets. Let's go, Mets. Let's go, Mets. And Vientos takes ball one. Sinker at almost 98 miles per hour. See if Swaggy B's got some pop left here for tonight. And he fouls off the next pitch, 1-1 to Swaggy B. Mets have one down, one on a single, a leadoff single by Master Beatty for the inning. And they still trail the Padres by 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth. All right. Viento swings at the next strike as the next pitch. Strike 2, 1-2 to Mark Vientos. And Vientos grounds out the third baseman, Manny Machado. And just like that, there are 2 down. Master Beatty still at second base. And that'll bring up the top of the order in Francisco Lindor. Let's see if we got any 2-out magic here. Have you seen that rally thing with sneakers on the fans' hands? Yeah, I did see that, Jody. I didn't even know what I was looking at first, but I wonder where that come from. I'd never seen that prior to this season, and honestly, I haven't seen that until like much later in the season this year. I know the Mets had those sandals that they would bring out for the home runs, and I don't know if they're connected, but it seems like they are. All right, Lindor has a 1-0 count. And Lindor takes ball 2, 2-0. If Lindor can get on base, that will bring up Juan Goto representing the tying run at the plate. The next pitch is a called strike, 2-1 to Lindor. Yeah, pew, that stinks. Yeah. I'm guessing that was something bad that happened, but we'll see. Pew, that stinks. Jody. 3-1 to Lindor. Let's see. And he swings at a strike. It's now full count. 3-2 to Lindor. We need Lindor on base. Bad. See, we can get Lindor on base. Base hit, ball 4, whatever it takes. And we can get Juan Soto up on the plate representing a tie and run. At least give us a fighting chance here. And Lindor walks. And that'll bring up the dangerous Juan Goto with 2 men on. And he represents the tying run. Potential tying run. Yeah, Soto could tie it. He could tie it. One swing and he could tie it. That said, he fouls off the first pitch and he's down 0-1. Let's see here. And he takes the ball 1. 1-1 to Juan Soto. Come on, Juan. Get a hold of one here. And the ball's down low. Ball 2, 2-1. You got to love the way Juan works the count. And the next pitch is a called strike, 2-2 to Juan Soto. And the Mets are down to their last strike. Yeah, that would be sweet. I agree. And Juan calls the timeout. Wise move. And Juan Soto lines out the pitcher, who flips over to the first base, Arias, and that is the end of the ball game. The Mets fall to the Padres, 7-4. Kind of an interesting game. Very, very interesting game. Obviously not great in that our Mets did not win, but, it was a pretty clean game overall. Obviously, the big blow was the grand slam to Manny Machado by David Peterson. And the Mets fall tonight. Not happy about that, but at the same time, I am happy to see some of the great baseball that I did see today. And sorry guys, bittersweet night. But I do thank you guys for rocking with me. It's been a lot of fun, So shout out to Jody. Shout out to that grand slam, exactly. Shout out to Rhoda and anybody else that poked their head in here. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit me up with a like and subscribe. Maybe at some point you guys will, CP will get me on there. Maybe CP and Rob will get me on there with Rob's dad, and we can do that. but that's probably not going to happen tonight. Probably good idea that it doesn't happen tonight. I probably had a little too much of wanking owl, but yeah, it was a good game except for that slam. I agree. But that's baseball, right? We kind of already come used to the fact that this is how baseball works, and sometimes it's a game of inches, right? And it's been fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Jody, thank you so much for joining me. Shout out to Rhoda as well for joining me. And yeah, this has been Metsflix. Your boy Luke, wishing you guys a great evening. I've had a lot of fun. I'm gonna finish up this last sippy cup worth of Wanking Owl, and then maybe call it a night for the evening. Yeah, thank you, Jody. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for subbing and supporting me. Small channel here, but hopefully we get bigger over time. But even if I stay small, it's all good. I'm happy as a clam. But Jody, thank you. You guys have a great evening. Yeah, thank you, Jody. I appreciate it. Jody, if I don't see you before that, have a great time with your son. Have a blast. And I think you're doing a great job here by making more memories with your son. Life is too short for not to doing that. So yeah, guys, thanks for rocking with me. I'll see you at the next one. I don't know when I'm going to go live next, but if you subscribe and you hit the notification icon, you'll know when I go live next. So until then, have a great evening. Be safe out there, and ciao. Thank you. Bye, everybody. All right. Thank you. No problem, Jody. Thank you. All right, guys. Have a great evening. Bye.